Working in the video production industry, it's quite a great field to be involved in because you can hide a multitude of your sins with clever editing in post-production. And that's kind of what I had in mind with this review. But when I told the video guys at Motor Talk about my particular problem, they simply laughed at me. So I'm going to have to be completely truthful with you and show you my problem, which lies here with these rather large transfers all over our brand new Vauxhall Adam. But courtesy of our friends at Perry's, we've managed to obtain their business demonstrator to really put this new good looking car through its paces. So let's crack on. The best way to describe the exterior design of the Adam is it looks like the offspring of a Fiat 500 and DS3, as it has a slightly bubbled bonnet, prominent contours down its flanks, and of course a two-tone roof design. But all in all, its design is quite unique. And the creative styling continues on the interior of the Adam. You've only got to really look at the amount of effort that's gone into making this car look considerably different to other Vauxhalls, and we've certainly achieved this very unique, appealing, young, modern, fresh look in here, and that's mirrored by the exterior of the car, I feel. Also, in the inside, it's centered around the center console, which in this particular car, we've got satellite navigation and all our media options. We've got heated seats and heated steering wheels, which, bearing in mind there's so many different variants and options in this car, you can spec the vehicles up to however you want. But one thing that I would suggest is this starlit roof. It is quite different, but it can get a little bit uncomfortable at times. For instance, last night about 10:30, dropping one of the research team off, Barry White came on BBC Radio 2, and it made for a rather uncomfortable 3.5 minutes drive down Exeter Road. But nevertheless, I'd certainly recommend the starlit roof if you've got kids, or, well, up to you really. All of its fashionable little details are also nice to touch, as they feel pretty high quality. Storage compartments aren't as great as some of its rivals, unfortunately. Now, when it comes to level of trim available in the Adam, things can get a little bit confusing, and that's partly because Vauxhall claim there are over 1 million different options available in the Adam. Now, I think that's a great thing, and particularly looking at BMW's Mini, one thing that made that car so successful was the amount of options that you could have within the vehicle. And with over 1 million options available in the Adam, you shouldn't get bored in speccing your particular car up. On the inside, there are 11 interior colour themes, 8 ambient lighting colours, 15 seat designs, and a variation of roof design options. And that's just on the inside. On the outside, there are 12 body colours, 3 roof colours, and 20 wheel designs. So make sure that you have some idea of what you're after, otherwise you could go back and forth with customisation for quite some time. Now, there are 3 levels of trim available. We've got the bottom of the range Jam, we've got the mid-range Glam, and the top of the range Slam. Very creatively named. The entry-level Jam model offers things like air conditioning, CD player, USB connectivity, digital radio, and cruise control. The top of the range Slam model adds 17-inch alloy wheels, sport suspension, and Maracana seats. Now, moving on to practicality and comfort. The front seat, the driver's seat of the Adam, is a little bit small. Now, bear in mind I am quite tall, so I'm probably not the ideal target market of this vehicle. But for me, I find it a little bit uncomfortable driving the Adam, purely because I can't get my seat further enough back to be comfortable enough to use the clutch. So that does leave me a little bit kangaroo at times starting off the lights. It's quite uncomfortable, to be honest, but bear in mind I am quite tall. Now, the seat does adjust to many different positions, and you shouldn't have a problem at all in getting comfortable. Now, my other concern comes in the back, where there doesn't seem to be much space at all. And again, it's going to depend on who and what you're looking to transport. But since it's only me doing this review, I'll demonstrate how much space I've got. Now, there's not much at all, really. This is quite uncomfortable. My head's touching the ceiling. This front seat is right in my face, and my legs are incredibly unnaturally far apart for the seat to fold back. Now, bear in mind, I have got the seat set up for me, so I've got it quite far away from the pedals because my legs are quite long. So if you're looking at getting 2 of me in an Adam, then you probably struggle. Does it get any better in the boots? Well, find out. Now, I don't mean to be overly negative about the Adam, because it is a brilliant car and it's great to see Vauxhall producing something so different and so fresh. Now, moving on to the rear and the boot, it's nice to see they've adopted this touch-sensitive gripping from the GTC. It reveals this rather small boot, but it's worth noting that this boot space is a little bit bigger than the Mini and the Fiat 500. Now, I've left our fair-sized toolbox and awkward shaped camera bag in there just to demonstrate how much space there actually is. And it is worth noting that there is quite a high load level as well, so if you are a fan of travelling to that famous Swedish furniture store at the weekend, you may need to rethink your weekends, because other than a few plant pots, you're not going to get much in there. The Vauxhall Adam range is unfortunately without a diesel option, well, for the time being anyway. However, there are 3 petrol engines to choose from, a 1.2 litre and a 1.4 litre, which comes available with both 86 brake horsepower and 98 brake horsepower variants. The entry-level 1.2 litre has 69 brake horsepower on tap and can reach 0 to 60 in just 14.9 seconds, which isn't overly impressive. Ride and handling is okay, not great but not terrible. It is clear that the Adam's aesthetics are Vauxhall's key focus. If you're after an economical engine, then your best option is the 1.2 litre petrol EcoFlex. The EcoFlex term basically means your engine has got start-stop capability, so every time you pull up at the traffic lights, your engine will cut out, in effect saving your fuel. And it's all good for the environment, so good all round. The one thing about this EcoFlex engine as well is it produces 118 grams of CO2 emissions, which means it's not exempt from road tax, so it's still going to cost you. Running costs for the Adam aren't as good as some other city cars and super mini competitors, but its price tag of £11,255 isn't too bad, considering all of the equipment you get as standard. Vauxhall cars are also great when it comes to residual value, but history would suggest that cars this customisable may be hard to sell onto another buyer. Style and general aesthetics of the Adam are great, but when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of the car, it isn't anything special. So I would make sure you take a real close look at what it has on offer for you before you jump the gun and throw upwards of £11,000 into this Vauxhall. It's great to see Vauxhall doing something so unique with the Adam, and what a look at the car is. And because of this, we give the Vauxhall Adam 3.5 out of the 5 available stars. Certainly a car worth looking at.